Hi everybody, I am here today to read chapter 7 of Patina with you. I'm so excited to see more of Patina's story. She's just, kind of finding her groove on the track team with some of the older girls, and I'm really excited to see some of that. She's also, though, struggling at school to connect to some girls there, so maybe we'll see some of that conflict with her project at school about Frida Kahlo. So why don't we go ahead and get started and see what happens today in Patty's world. Chapter 7, to do. Calm down, count to 10 or 10,000. The first thing I do in the morning every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is send Ma a text message of a smiley face, just to let her know I'm thinking about her on the day she has to get her blood cleaned. And when I say cleaned, I don't mean cleaned like scrubbed. You try to scrub blood, you're just going to wind up with nasty red hands. What I mean by cleaned is the doctors do this thing where they run the blood out of one of her veins through a tube that's connected to a machine, and that machine takes all the bad stuff out and then pumps the blood out at the other end through a different tube and back into a different vein. It takes like 3 or 4 hours and leaves her super tired, but she got to do it because the sugar also broke her kidneys, and when your kidneys don't work, your blood gets dirty. And when your blood gets dirty, it basically messes all kinds of stuff up inside you. Think about it like this. When you get dirt in your shoe, do it feel good? Nope. It makes you walk with a limp, like there are little fires blazing between your toes. And when you get dirt in your eye, can you see? Of course not. And it burns like crazy too. Every little speck of dirt like a teeny tiny little match. So imagine having dirt in your blood, mess your whole body up. Make your organs feel like they in a microwave. So yeah, I text her to let her know I'm thinking about her on those days. I text her on other days too, but especially on the blood cleaning days. She always sends a smiley face back, which I appreciate because I know how much she hates texting. She loves getting them, but really hates sending them. Momly is who goes to pick Ma up, who takes her to the hospital dialysis, another word with die in it, unit, where she gets the treatment, who then brings her back home. And because Momly gets to Ma's house at the butt crack of dawn, Ma goes to bed dumb early on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays so she can be up and ready to go. And whenever Ma's not at treatment, she's recovering from it, which means she usually is lying in bed drifting in and out of sleep watching TV, or as she always puts it, letting the TV watch her. So the morning smiley faces we send each other are important. Correction. The smiley faces we send each other are important to me. Almost as important as Vicky Tynes' boyfriend is to Vicky Tynes, who she announces is in high school every single day in homeroom. Mrs. Stansfield takes roll by going down her list and looking to see who's there and who's not. At Barnaby, Miss Simmons used to call our names out loud, needed to hear our voices. But in a homeroom at Chester, there are a lot of voices already being heard. Like Vicky Tynes. Ugh. All of Vicky's friends be having heart eyes when they listen to Vicky go on and on, and on and on and on. Macy Franks pays no attention to her and just folds paper. Like, what's the name of that thing? The way you fold paper into animals and all that? Mrs. Richardson used to help me and Cotton make paper fortune tellers when she was babysitting us back in the day. We used to give mine to Momly when she picked me up. But my fortune teller ain't never predicted this. That's for sure. Anyway, Macy just be doing that. Making birds and stuff. Lori Brenner wants a belly button ring. Jasmine Stanger already got one. I saw it when she was showing Lori. Pretty sure something's wrong with it. First period English, Mr. Winston is teaching us poetry, which means Mr. Winston is teaching us boredom. My uncle said, tell Mr. Winston to teach y'all some Queen Latifah. At Chester? Right. Remember the whole think about cannons thing? That's because we've been learning this one called The Charge of the Light Brigade. Cannons are mentioned in it, and Mr. Winston reads it like he's some kind of actor or something. All bassy and slow. Like the man who narrates the previews of the movies. Like his dramatic voice is going to make the poem any less whack. But hot sauce on cardboard is still cardboard. Then comes math. Geometry. Miss Teller says perpendicular. And hypotenuse, like her life depends on it. My life depends on math being over as quickly as possible. Then, lunch. Okay, I know what you're thinking. what you think I'm going to say. You think I'm going to go on some kind of rant about how the cafeteria is basically like some kind of mini mealtime. And little old Patty Waddy doesn't have a group, so she can't find a seat, right? Wah, wah, wah. Right? Well, right? Kinda. But not exactly. See, the real issue with the cafeteria is that it's tiny. Like, teeny tiny. It's almost as if when they started this academy, they didn't expect there to be so many people who would actually come to get academied. They probably never thought regular kids from regular neighborhoods and regular schools would end up here. But here I am, looking for a seat in a space as small as the church we go to, and with just as much noise, but none of the spirit. Point is, there was never enough seats, which was okay because I never sat down anyway. I would basically just do a few laps around the room, scarfing my pasta bolognese, which I found out was not pasta and bologna, but was actually just regular spaghetti. But yeah, I just circle the room because when you keep moving, people think you're going somewhere. Like you're on a mission and shouldn't be bothered. Like you busy. And that's better than people realizing that you're not busy at all. That you're not okay with lunchrooms that don't have trays. And that ain't big enough space to disappear in. And that don't stink of weak, old, dirty mop water. Which I now know is the familiar smell of love and friendship. Usually on the 10th lap, my food would be gone and the bell would ring. I had it all timed perfectly. But today, on lap number 2, barely into my salmon teriyaki, which by the way should be called teriyaki salmon, the same way barbecue chicken is barbecue chicken and not chicken barbecue. I swear, Chester. Anyway, on lap 2, Becca stood up from her seat like a bird who just popped its head out of a nest and waved at me. Well, not at me, but she waved me over. And I felt funny, like confused and weirded out and skeptical, and yes, I can't front, a little excited. I cut between the tables, holding my plate steady, and once I got to where she was, smack in the middle of the crowded table full of, well, you know, girls on either side of her eating and talking and laughing, she said, "What are you doing?" "What do you mean?" I replied, pretending like I hadn't just been acting like a lunch monitor, trying not to drop my plate while forking my fish. "I mean, how come you're not sitting?" she asked. The girl beside her, a girl I'd seen every day but never really met, whipped her face towards me. 2 faces looking at mine. 4 rosy cheeks. 4 mascaraed eyes. 4 bazillion strands of blonde. "Oh, I'm good. But you never sit," Becca pressed, like ever. And before I could either drop my plate or say anything, Becca bumped the girl next to her, who then bumped the girl next to her, who bumped the girl next to her, who happened to be Macy Franks, folding her teriyaki streaked plate into a styrofoam half moon. They all scooted over, squishing together, making a sliver of free space on the seat. Was this some kind of joke? A trick? A scheme for Becca to milk me for info about Frida or something? Either way, I was tired of eating standing up, so I set my plate down, slowly climbed over the bench, and slipped my legs under the table. Then, as if none of this was a big deal, Becca turned back to her conversation. A ditzy discussion about music and space, and I turned back to my salmon teriyaki. Yeah, kinda awkward. After lunch, it was time for my favorite girl group. History. Miss Lanford was standing at the board, chewing the last bit of her lunch as we all filed in and took our seats in our assigned group clusters. "Don't forget to figure out when you're going to meet outside of class to work on this. Not everything can be done in school." Miss Lanford wiped crumbs from the corners of her mouth, looked like she may have had crackers for lunch, definitely not salmon teriyaki. Hopefully today everybody is prepared to share with their partner some more new findings about the person you've all chosen. "Hey," I said first, scooting my chair up to the desk. TNT sort of spoke back. Sometimes their highs sounded more like humps, but only to me. Their highs to Becca came with weird no-touch hugs, but whatever. "Hey, Patina," Becky beamed, much warmer than the other 2 girls, as if I hadn't just been sitting next to her at lunch. She pulled out the materials we put together yesterday. Well, really the stuff I put together. The photos of Frida I found on Google. Then the 3 of them looked at me like I had something magical to say. I returned the stare. Blank face. "So, anything new we should know about, TT started, but couldn't remember Frida's name." Frida? Yeah, Frida. Anything new we should know about her? She cocked her head to the side. I imagined her brain oozing out of her ear. You tell me. Me equals running out of patience. I watched the movie about her online last night. Becca blurted out, all excited. Well, I watched some of it. There's Spanish in it, and that threw me off. But I saw the part where she was in school and on the bus with her boyfriend, who, by the way, was hot, just saying, and the bus got in an accident and gold dust went everywhere, and the next thing you know, Frida's just lying there all bloody, a mess, and then she got a cast over her whole body. She painted butterflies in the cast after the cute boyfriend moved to Europe, which I was like, what? No, so yeah. TNT turned their attention back to me to see if Becca was right. As if I was some kind of expert on gold dust, butterflies, and blood. That's what's up, Becca, I said, smiling, nodding. But there's some details you left out. Here's the thing. At this point, I had already come to grips with the fact that this group project was going to be a Patty project. Miss Lanford told us at the beginning that there would be one grade given, so everybody had to do a fair share. But how in the world was I supposed to tell the Taylors to get it together? How was I supposed to say, yo, I ain't doing all the work? I guess I could have just said it like that, but I didn't want no static. I didn't want to be on nobody's bad side, especially since I wasn't even really on anybody's good side yet. Matter of fact, I wasn't on nobody's side, period. Man, I miss Cotton. I know that's such a random thought, but in moments like these, I missed her bad. And what made it worse was that I couldn't even talk to her because Barnaby Middle was on spring break like everybody else. Chester was the next week, and her grandma took her on their annual cruise trip, which Cotton don't even like because she says she don't do nothing but sit around with no cell phone service, eating shrimp all day and looking out at all the water she can't swim in while her granny plays slot machines. But if Cotton was here, if she was in this group with me, she would have just made up all types of silly stories. Oh, Frida? She was the first woman in Mexico to go to the NFL. Oh, Frida? She invented the flute. Used to play with James Brown and them. Oh, Frida? She's the first woman to have a day named after her. Friday. By the way, Thursday was named after a third-grade marshal. That's Cotton. She would have turned everything into a joke until TNT realized it wasn't. That none of this was. That this was about a number, grade, a 4. I needed a 4. Even if that meant I had to do 3 other people's work to get it. I pulled out my notebook and started writing down more facts about Frida, filling in some of Becca's holes. She also went to one of the top schools in Mexico. It was probably like this one. Becca nodded. She was in. The other 2 were still holding out. I tried one more time to make a connection, and that's where she met Diego Riviera who at that time was painting a mural in the school auditorium. That's the fat man, right? Becca interjected, excited to share more of what she must have seen in the video. But it came off kind of mean. So she added, I mean, I didn't mean it like that, but that's him, right? Right. That's what's really interesting is she ended up marrying him when she healed from the accident. Not right away, but a few years after. The fat man? TT chimed in, just to confirm that we were still talking about the same Diego. What did he look like? Becca sifted through papers until finding one with his picture and stabbed his face with her finger. Him. Him? She could have done better than him. He looks so old, Taylor scoffed. He was old, 20 years older, I explained. Taylor leaned forward, the drama of that kind of relationship seeming to send some kind of electrical charge through her. Suddenly, Frida was a little more interesting. TT pinched the corner of a picture of Frida, the one where her neck is too long and a small monkey's looking over her shoulder, and turned the picture around. I mean, she definitely could have done better than that guy, she said, studying Frida's face. Yeah, I agree, but he was a genius with a paintbrush, and I guess that's why she chose him. People used to call their relationship the elephant and the dove. Becca's eyes lit up, like Beauty and the Beast. Taylor grimaced. I guess, she said. And just then it occurred to me that we were all leaning in, analyzing Frida and Diego's faces, looking through the pictures, discussing something interesting. Sure, it was about their crazy love story, but still, it was a start. And if it weren't for the piercing sound of the fire alarm suddenly going off, we might have been able to get some of the other cool things about Frida Kahlo. But at least we decided whose house we would go over to do the go over to somebody's house portion of the project, Becca's. Taylor and TT basically begged Becca to host it at her place, which I guess made some sense because it was right across the street from the school. Becca said the best way to do it at her house would be the best day to do it at her house would be the next day, Wednesday, because her grandmother was making cookies, which TNT said was perfect because Thursday was Taylor's mother's birthday and Friday was Friday. I told them I could do it, but I'd have to come by after track practice. And if it wasn't for the alarm suddenly screaming over us, maybe, just maybe, they would have asked about my running. But I guess fire drills are important too. At least they are to 6-year-olds. Specifically, 6-year-olds named Madison Jones. But just in case there was a real life fire, it's good we practice, right? Maddie went on and on in the car after school. From the moment I met her in the hallway, she'd been blabbing, so excited about the hustle and bustle she'd experienced earlier in the day. Fire drill, fire drill, fire drill. It's like that was the only thing that happened in the north wing of Chester. I think we should also maybe practice stop, drop, and roll with Mrs. S. Maddie barreled on, rolling her hands in the air, just in case somebody don't make it out in time, especially since she makes us all walk so slow. I don't know about everybody else, but if there's a real life fire, I'm out of there. Momley snorted. But what about me? I asked. Maddie thought about it for a second. Patty, I can lift you up, but I don't think I can lift you and run. Not yet, I replied, sliding one arm out of my shirt sleeve. Right, not yet. Maddie flexed one of her arms, squeezed her bicep. The ride to MLK Park was the one thing that got Maddie to stop yakking about fire drills. For some reason, she still was geeked out at the fancy houses we passed on the way, especially the big white ones. Their wooden castle doors and knobs like golden fists. The fountains and wraparound driveways, the windows, no curtains, like they want everybody to know what they got. But can't nobody really see nothing anyway because of the gates, the tops of the metal posts curling up into the air like witch fingers. And in front of the gates, shrubs. And then the mailbox with the address, which is always just 1 or 2 numbers, like 6 Chester Ave or 13 Chester Place. And as we moved through town, the numbers continued to climb as the neighborhoods changed. From mansions to weird cereal box communities, where every house looks like a different version of the one next to it. Then on to older neighborhoods like mine, where the houses are still nice but have been around for a while, so still made of brick. My address has 3 numbers, 685 Wallery Street, but Ma's address over in Barnaby Terrace has 4, 5014. And I think Ghost is something like 5 or 6. It's like the less numbers in your bank account, the more numbers in your address. Practice was a little less silly today. Well, it got less silly after warm-up laps, stretching, and the usual clowning around. Well, Lou was clowning Kieran. Yo, Kieran, how come yesterday Coach ain't make y'all do that dancing thing Patty and Crystal did? He asked, winding up and tossing a live grenade into the mix. He had one of his legs pulled back behind him, doing a final stretch. You mean what he made you and Ghost do? Kieran jabbed. Because we don't need all that on the boys' relay, Kieran bragged, cutting his eyes at Britt Brat. Oh, y'all don't? That was Crystal's cue to jump in. Britt Brat didn't pay no mind, and neither did I, because Kieran was always trying us. Deja bucked a little, but Crystal beat her to it. You do know that you can't keep taking off early in a relay race, right? If you jump the gun more than once, y'all is shot. Crystal laser-eyed Kieran. And everybody know you a gun-jumping fool. We all laughed. Everyone but Sonny, who was chillin', trapping his laughter in his face as usual so nobody knew what he was really thinking. Crystal moved closer, but put her hand on Kieran's shoulder like a concerned parent. Seriously, is there going to be one race where you don't false start? Everybody laughed again, but Kieran didn't find it funny at all. Seriously, Crystal No Speed? Is there going to be one day that your breath don't smell like boiling track shoes? Kieran slapped a hand over his nose. He zinged her with that one, and even though it was super petty, all of us were yikesing from the blowback. Then he turned to Ghost. And I know you ain't laughing, Ghost. Maybe you need more practice with your dance partner, because you ran the whole race before you realized nobody was running with you. The whole race. Ouch. I can't front. Just thinking of Lou and Ghost holding each other like that made me want to burst into laughter, but I held it in. But not everyone did. The loudest coming from Aaron, Freddie, and Mikey, who all began fake waltzing. Whatever, it was his first race. His first race. Lou came back to Ghost's defense, and I was right there for the follow-up. Ever, I dropped in to drive home the point. Nah, it's cool, Ghost said, calling off his newbie goons. How about this, Kieran? How about you pick the distance and we line up and... Okay, knuckleheads. Coach cut them off, sauntering over, swinging his stopwatch. Let's get done with this funnying so we can get down with the running. I swear, if you all could move your legs as fast as you move your lips, we wouldn't even have to practice. Time for Coach's daily pep talk. We got 3 practices left before the next meet. Today, tomorrow, and Thursday. Then it's go time. If you came here to play around, he looked at Lou and the instigator, when Saturday comes, don't cry when I don't run you. If you came to be lazy, I'll make sure you have a comfortable seat this weekend at the meet. Are we clear? We all nodded. It's Technique Tuesday. I watched some of your forms break down last week out there looking like wet noodles. I don't want to see that this week. Let's keep it tight. He tucked his elbows in, stuck his chest out. Keep your stride wide, remember to breathe, come off the block like you got a point to prove. Coach then told the relay teams what Coach Witt had already told us at the last practice, that we would also be working on baton passing. Thankfully, he didn't mention dancing. Me, Britt Bratt, Crystal, and Deja went off to one end of the track with Coach Witt. She was holding small orange cones, not the kind that you see at construction sites or in school cafeterias whenever there was a spill. These were small. Where the heck do you even get such tiny cones? If Maddie saw them, she'd want them for pretend megaphones. Okay, ladies, I need you all to pay attention because what I'm going to show you could make or break you, she said. Then Witt placed one of the cones just before the curve on the track and another. I don't know, maybe 20 feet into the curve. This is the handoff zone, she said, coming back from the second cone, or as Coach calls it, the hot zone. This is the amount of space you have to hand off the baton. Now, I know the 3 of y'all, Witt pointed to Crystal, Deja, and Britt Bratt, are used to standing at the starting line with your arm out waiting for the stick. But this year, Coach and I have decided to shake things up. You're going to run the 800 relay as if it were a 100 relay. We looked at Witt like she had grown a second head. Once she realized that none of us understood what she was talking about, she explained, what I mean is, we're going to do blind handoffs. Wait, what do you mean blind? Deja asked. Now, she's about to blindfold us, y'all, Crystal joked. No, I'm about to show y'all how to win. That is, if you can shut up and listen, especially you, Crystal, seeing as though you run the slowest leg. Crystal sucked her teeth, burned. Probably would have sucked her teeth hard enough to turn her whole face inside out if she could. Now, watch and learn, Witt said, and started demonstrating the blind handoff, a technique that usually only sprinters do during relays because of the momentum of the incoming runner. The runner who's receiving the baton has to time it exactly right. Start sprinting before the runner with the baton reaches the line, so there's no slowdown. This is why I had you dance, ladies, Coach Witt was saying, moving Crystal and me to imaginary positions on the track. Now, Crystal, you're coming in fast. Wait, we're running the 800, not the 400, Britt Bratt said. So, I mean, how fast do you really expect us to be coming in? By the time I get to the final stretch, I'm rigged. This is the hardest race to run, Britt Bratt argued, her arms spread wide as if, what the? I nodded, thinking the exact same thing. The 800 ain't no dash. As fast as you possibly can. Our job is to run to win. If that means you have to run until your legs detach from your body, then that's what you got to do. Witt's face went dead serious, because the rest of your relay team is depending on you. Got it? Britt nodded sheepishly. So did I. Coach Witt wasn't playing no games today. So, Crystal, pretend you're coming in. Final stretch. Coach Witt gave Crystal the baton, stood beside her. You want to line your right arm up with Patty's left shoulder. Now, who's ever receiving has the hard job because they have to time the transition. In this case, it's Patty. When you see Crystal about to enter the red zone, Where this cone is, you gotta take off full speed. If you wait too long, you two will collide and get jumbled. If you go too early, the person passing the baton will be able to catch up to hand it off. Make sense? We all nodded. Now, she went on. What this means for the incoming runner is that you have to dig deep and run with everything you got in that final stretch, because once you yell out stick, you still have to run fast enough to catch the next runner, who will have her arm out but will also have fresh legs. So we all have to feel each other out. No one to go, no one to hand off. It's waltzing without touching, just moving in rhythm. Now let's run it slow-mo a few times. Coach Witt moved Crystal back 20 more feet and told her to jog towards me. Once Crystal got to the first cone, I started jogging. Good, Coach Witt said. Now call it. Stick, Crystal said. No oomph behind it. No. Witt thrust her arm out across Crystal's body like Mommy does to get me after slamming on the brakes. I said, call it, not say it. Witt took the baton and stepped back a few feet. Stick, stick, she shouted, running towards us. People are going to be screaming. You need to make sure your teammate hears you. Now run it again. When stick is called out, my job is to stretch my left arm behind me without looking, while running full speed until Crystal slaps the baton in my hand. It's tricky because our running has to match up. She has to have enough juice and enough time to get to me. We ran it again and again. Faster and faster, working on the timing of it all. Deja had to practice the handoff to Brit Brat, and Brit Brat had to practice the handoff to Crystal. Now remember, these cones won't be on the track, so you're going to have to learn to eyeball when the transition should happen, Witt said, picking them up. This time, full speed, run it. She told Deja to start back with a 200-meter mark, outside lane, and do the handoff to Brit Brat. It wasn't bad. Then she had Brit Brat do the same to practice the handoff to Crystal. Stick, 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 stick was Brit Brat's way of calling out, which made us all laugh, even Witt. But hey, whatever works. Next, it was my turn to receive the handoff from Crystal, but when she reached the red zone, I broke out running. She couldn't catch me. Try it again, Witt said. So we did, and I got out too far ahead of her again. I wasn't trying to, but she's just slower. Yo, what are you trying to do? Crystal said, panting. What are you talking about? I'm waiting on you to call it out, I explained. No, you trying to play me, she said. You overrunning. Overrunning? That ain't even a thing. Maybe you underrunning. Coach Witt cut us off. You two, cut it out and get back on your mark. Save that drama for the other teams on Saturday. But Crystal wasn't ready to be cut off. Maybe it was because Kieran snapped on her and Witt threw her a little side shade earlier, but now Crystal was fuming. Nah. See, I try to be nice to the new girl. She looked around at Brit Brat and Deja all fired up, but she's always correcting me, being all goody-goody like she thinks she's better than us. She raised her chin at me. What makes you better? Your white mother? My white mother? Oh, what? My left eye twitched, a sign that things were going to go bad if Crystal didn't shut up. Nobody had ever tried to call me out about Momly before. Nobody had the nerve to even pretend to know something they really ain't know nothing about, until now. You heard me. Crystal didn't shut up. Enough. Coach Witt slid between us, but that wasn't enough to stop what was coming, because now I wasn't shutting up. I don't think I'm better than y'all. I think I'm better than you. I jabbed a finger over Coach Witt's shoulder, right at Crystal. And not because of no so-called white mother, but because I'm actually better than you. I just am. You run like your feet are made of oatmeal, like your whole life is in slow-mo. I'm faster because I work harder while you sit around and pout like some spoiled brat, like somebody owe you ribbons, like it's our job to carry your lazy... Patty, that's enough, Witt yelled, whirling around to face me. Better watch who you're playing with, I snarled at Crystal, last diggin'. Patty, I said that's enough. Coach Witt grabbed me by the arm and dragged me off the track to the gate. My heart was pounding so hard that my chest felt like it had stopped pumping blood and was pushing those red beads I put in Maddie's hair through my veins instead. Are you serious? Witt asked when we were out of earshot. What was that? I glared over at Crystal, made sure she knew I wasn't scared. But I didn't answer Witt. Didn't want to, because if I did, I would have said that was me offering Crystal a seat and that she better take it before I showed her what it meant to lay down. I was so mad, so mad. White mother? I'm the daughter of Bev Jones, and she don't make no junk. Momly ain't even my real mother, but even if she was, what? I lasered on Crystal's face, her eyes tearing up, her tuft tearing down. You don't even know what you're talking about, over there about to cry. What are you about to cry for? You started it. Why you even have to go there? Why? You hear me talking to you, Patty? I glanced at Coach Witt. Yeah? I closed my eyes for a second, told myself to get a grip. Deep breaths, Patty. My mad slowly mellowing. This temper ain't a new temper. Breaking invisible teacups, smashing them everywhere. No, this ain't new. I just be keeping it pushed down, all the way down on my legs. See, there's this weird period between my dad's passing and my mother losing her legs that my mom always calls the funky zone, because I was acting, well, funky. Temper on a billion. As soon as somebody started with me, even if they looked like they wanted to start, I would finish it. Talk people down, talk them out of whatever they thought they wanted with me, and I was just trying to let Crystal know that's all. But it had been a long time since I had to get funky. And now that I noticed Crystal was really hurt, the funk was fading. So then, I need you to answer me, Whit pressed steely. What was that? Look, I'm sorry, I said, feeling somewhere between embarrassed and satisfied, but then I looked over at Crystal, pretending I ain't cut her deep, doing her best to hold in her tears. Deja and Brat pretending like they minding their own business, but really they being nosy watching us. And I felt bad. A little bad. I didn't want to, but I did. What's going on here? Coach had now made his way over to us. I'll let Patty tell you, Whit said, her voice still furious, stalking off to talk to Crystal. It's nothing, I said quickly. Nothing? Coach looked down at my hands. Since when does nothing make you look like you're about to punch somebody? I guess the funk hadn't completely faded yet. I looked Coach in the eye, but didn't say nothing. He mumbled something like, I'm getting too old for this, under his breath. Then he startled me by shouting to everyone. You know I'm not your daddy. I'm not your teacher, or your principal, or even your friend. I'm your coach. Your coach. My job is to coach you, to hopefully make you all better runners, but more importantly, better people. He closed his eyes. Crystal, Deja, Brat, right here. He pointed to the ground in front of him. When they all came over, he took the baton from Crystal. Take one end, he ordered. I grabbed it, thinking this is going to be a revisit of the whole energy of the team speech. Crystal, you take the other. She took the other end of the baton, looking like it was the last thing in the world she wanted to do. If either of you let go, you're both off the team. Then he looked at Deja and Brat. If you two see either of them let go, you tell me. And if I find out they did, you didn't let me know, you're gone as well. Now fix it. Coach, I begged. Don't try me. He cut me off, his voice ice. There are Patinas and Crystals all over the place, begging to be in your spot, praying to form the bond that y'all are so determined to break. Fix it. Coach went back to the boys, who were practicing their blind handoff, leaving me and Crystal standing there holding the metal stick, trying our best to not let our hands touch, which was pretty much impossible. Deja and Brat stood in front of us, awkward. Come on, y'all, just squash it so we can get back to work, Brat said. We a team. I ain't started. She came for me for no reason. I pleaded my case. That's because you were purposely trying to make me look bad, Crystal said. Make you look bad? I was running. This is a track team. Yo, you think I don't know that? I was on this team before you. That's the thing. You don't think I know that? Crystal didn't say nothing back. She just looked at me, the screwed face, then yanked the baton. I almost let go. Whoa, chill, Deja said, eyes wide, hands up. Yeah, y'all tripping. Let's just talk it out, Brat said. I've watched enough Ayanna Vanzant to know how to do this. When do you have time to watch Ayanna Vanzant? Deja asked. I didn't even know she still had a show. I I don't think she'd do, but my mother recorded every single episode and uses it whenever she feels like she don't understand me. I keep trying to tell her I'm a tall, skinny with big feet and therefore a monster. And then she says, no, baby, you're beautiful and I'm here for you. And what do you need from me to support you? Which she steals from Ayana. And then I say, a bag of Twizzlers, a trip to the mall, and a lock on my door. And she says, how about a bag of Twizzlers? And then I say, I hate everyone and everything. Wait, so you don't get the Twizzlers? Deja asked, now laughing. What? Oh, of course I get the Twizzlers. I love Twizzlers, Crystal said low. It was as if suddenly we were all just thinking about candy. Me too. My mother used to sell them, I said after an uncertain pause. I wasn't sure if I wanted to join in on this weird Twiz fest that had suddenly broken out, especially since I was just about to give Crystal a good old-fashioned Beverly Jones Funky Zone beatdown, but it seemed like it was happening, so... Your mother? This from Crystal. Yeah, she used to be the candy lady in Barnaby Terrace. Wait, that white lady sold candy in Barnaby Terrace? She asked. That's not my mother, that's my auntie. Crystal was quiet. For once, probably trying to swallow down all that loud and wrong, she just spat. Britt Brat stepped in. So what Ayana would say now that we've broken the ice is, Patty, what did Crystal say to offend you? Then she changed her mind. You know what? Scratch that question. I think we know what both of you said. Yeesh. How about this, Patty? What's one thing you want Crystal to know about you? Britt Brat had her hands clasped and was leaning in like she really knew what she was doing. Like she was for real. I couldn't believe I was actually about to do this, but seeing how serious Britt was, I felt like I had to. I wasn't trying to embarrass her. Say it to her, not to me, Britt Brat nudged, her voice over the top calm. Seriously? I wasn't trying to embarrass you, I said, feeling totally ridiculous, but also feeling like Crystal needed to know that because it was true. And I'm sorry for not adjusting like we learned when we were doing the waltz, but I'm still figuring everything out. Yes, we all are. We're trying to figure out this relay race of life, Britt Brat said, her eyes now shut. Now we all shot looks at her like, really? When she opened her eyes and realized we were staring her down, she said, what? That's what Ayana would say. She turned to Crystal. Your turn. Crystal sighed. Look, even though I talk a lot of trash, I'm serious about this team too, she assured me, but it's real that I'm not as fast as you. Shoot, neither am I, Britt Brat second. But that don't mean we can't win if we stay connected. Exactly, Deja chimed. I looked at Crystal, she looked at me, but for the first time today, neither of us were sizing each other up. You know how you can tell if a person is looking at you or looking at you? Yeah, there was none of that extra sting in her eyes. She was just looking at me, like she was trying to see me. We good? I asked, still holding on to the stupid baton. Crystal bit down on her bottom lip and nodded. Yeah, we good. Good. Because I'm done with Ayana Van Cant. Over here, Deja smirked. Britt Brat palmed both of Deja's shoulders and looked her in the eyes all serious. Oh, please. You know you want me to fix your life. Deja rolled her eyes like, tuh. Okay. But just know, denial is the first step to defeat, Deja. A few minutes later, we called Whit over. We would have called Coach, but he was so mad at us that it just didn't seem like a good idea. Can we drop the baton? I asked. Can you what? Whit sparked up, like I had asked her for $20. You can never, ever, ever drop the baton. That's not what I meant. But it is subconsciously. Everybody was Ayana all of a sudden. But if y'all are done fighting, you can release it. Crystal, you keep it, and we can get back to practice. We're straight, I said. You sure? I looked at Crystal, saw her, saw all of us, and knew now we had each other's backs. Yeah, Whit. We good. That was chapter 7 of Patina. That was such a long chapter, but such a good chapter. Crystal really went at Patty, and we really got to see Patty's funk, as she was referring to it. She definitely has a sizzling temper under there, but I get it. She's been through a lot, and I mean, Crystal was kind of rude. But it seems like it all worked out and the girls really connected there at the end. So tune in next time for chapter 8 of Patina. Have a great day. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Bye, everybody.